Is my car in yet? It's the Studebaker. You know, the one that has the little doggy in the window that goes. Those lines would someday be linked with comedy skits and chuckles, but for Carol Burnett, there had long been more at stake behind laughter. It was survival. For 11 consecutive years, she laughed America into stitches with the Carol Burnett Show. Between 1967 and 1978, she dominated television, drawing 30 million viewers each week. She was America's funniest woman, a trailblazer who opened doors for women in comedy, whose quick wit and ease at slipping into character became the stuff of legend. But then, in 1977, something strange occurred. Carol did something so strong that her whole crew wept while shooting. The show was shown once, shocked audiences, and broke their hearts. Critics described it as brilliant, awards rolled in, but Carol Burnett never saw it again. Not even once, in 47 years. When interviewed on Why Not, she just blurted out that it was too real. The sketch, named The Gong Show, had struck so close to home that even the queen of comedy couldn't watch her own performance. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. To see why, you have to look back to the start. Carol Burnett was born on April 26, 1933, in San Antonio, Texas. Pain was around her from the very first days of her life. Her parents were both alcoholics. Her father moved from one brief job to another as a theater manager, while her mother drank excessively in pursuit of an illusory Hollywood dream of her own. They could not take care of Carol, and both would die of alcohol sickness. When Carol was only a toddler, she already knew the meaning of being unwanted. The very ones who were supposed to keep her safe had opted for bottles instead of story time, and she was left alone and uncertain. Fate extended to her a lifeline, however. Her maternal grandmother, Mabel White, took her in and raised her. In 1940, Mabel took Carol to Hollywood. They didn't come to red carpets and blinding lights. They stepped into a single small room of a seedy boarding house filled with addicts, shattered spirits, and those barely hanging on by their fingernails. They existed on $20 a week, only for plain food, not for possibilities. Amidst that turmoil, however, Mabel provided Carol something neither of her parents ever did, love with no strings attached. With her grandmother's help, Carol constructed a world of her own. She even conjured up an imaginary twin sister named Karen, beautiful, confident, and everything that Carol wished she could be. Carol acted out both parts so well that even the other renters believed Karen was real. It was an early glimpse of the performer she was to become. Escapes were infrequent, but cherished. Weekends, Carol and Mabel spent what little cash they had on tickets to the movies. The darkened theater for 2 hours was a portal to a better life, effect, music, dancing, order. When the movies were over, reality flooded back. They frequently had to shoplift toilet paper in the theater restrooms just to survive. But even in those times, Carol's appetite wasn't simply for food, but for life. She heard Johnny Weissmuller's iconic Tarzan yell ring out through the screen one day. She practiced incessantly at home, mastering the odd sound until she could reproduce it perfectly. She had no idea that she was developing the type of vocal control other singers spent years studying. It was only a game at that point, but one that would eventually become her trademark, something she used to knock audiences on their sides with laughter in live performances. When Carol graduated from high school, she wished to study journalism. Her mother used to dream of becoming a writer, and Carol felt that she owed it to her to complete what she never had. UCLA was where she wanted to go, but she didn't even have the $50 tuition charge, approximately $600 today. Just when it looked like her dream would never get started, a stranger she never knew paid her tuition. With that kindness, her direction was forever altered. At UCLA, she planned to study journalism, but one elective play class altered everything. In that space, Carol came alive. She wasn't poor, shy, or invisible anymore. She was funny, commanding, magnetic. Her professors saw it, her classmates saw it, and eventually, Carol herself knew that journalism was too small for her. She changed majors, pursuing performance instead of survival. That decision set everything in motion. At the end of her freshman year, she was awarded Most Promising Newcomer in UCLA's theater program. It wasn't merely an award, it was confirmation. She wasn't insane for fantasizing. In 1954, earning her keep as an usherette for 65 cents an hour, she attended a party in San Diego and met a rich stranger who gave her and her boyfriend Don Soroyan $1,000 each to pursue their dreams on Broadway. His only stipulations: never disclose his name, use it solely for New York, and vow to someday assist others. Carol never broke that vow. With the funds, she and Don departed UCLA and made their way to New York City. There, life was tough but enchanting. Carol resided in the Rehearsal Club, a boarding house for young women in the performing arts. For $18 a week, she received a cot in a common room and a single bathroom for the entire floor. She worked nights as a hat-check girl and auditioned during the day. In March 1955, the other girls and she performed a revue that caught the attention of producers. Before long, Carol was doing comedy songs such as the ridiculous "I Made a Fool of Myself Over John Foster Dulles," the one that finally became her big hit. Her impeccable blend of seriousness and absurdity made her indelible. She appeared on the Jack Paar Show and the Ed Sullivan Show, her jitters becoming belly laughs from crowds. Her Broadway debut came in 1959 with Once Upon a Mattress, in which she was the hapless Princess Winifred. The production was a hit, was on stage for 470 performances, and brought Carol her initial Tony nomination. By that time, she and Don had paid back in full the cryptic $2,000 loan. Her success was undeniable. Following soon after was The Gary Moore Show, which brought her first Emmy in 1962 and introduced audiences to her classic cleaning lady persona. Moore's backstage warm-ups influenced Carol's own interactions with her audience later on. Then came her historic Carnegie Hall special with Julie Andrews, which CBS had questioned but went on to be a huge success. And then came the Carol Burnett Show. It debuted on September 11, 1967, and television was never the same. For 11 years, Carol's variety show reigned over the airwaves, mixing comedy, music, and sketches in a manner that inspired such future classics as Saturday Night Live. She was one of the first women to host her own variety show, showing that women could dominate television as strongly as men. The program earned 25 Primetime Emmys, 2 Golden Globes, and numerous People's Choice Awards. Her fellow cast members Harvey Korman, Tim Conway, and Vicki Lawrence were household names. The show's sketches tended to go awry, such as Conway's seemingly never-ending elephant story that had the whole cast in stitches, but those were its lifeblood. But not everything was a laugh. In 1977, Carol did the sketch that tormented her for eternity, The Gong Show. Playing Eunice Higgins, a clinging woman with dreams of fame, she took away the humor and played it straight. Teased and ridiculed, Eunice's face folded up in anguish. The studio crew sobbed, audiences sat in shock, and critics declared it genius. Carol never saw it again, though. It was too real, she confessed later. Eunice's suffering was hers alone, the girl who had dreamed in the dark of movie palaces, ridiculed by life itself. In the background, Carol's life was as troubled as that she acted out. Her first marriage to actor Don Soroyan disintegrated under sadness and professional pressures. Her marriage to producer Joe Hamilton produced 3 daughters, Carrie, Jody, and Erin, but ended in divorce after years of tension. Her daughter Carrie fought addiction since her teenage years but later got her life back on track, acting and even co-authoring a play, Hollywood Arms. Just as they became close, the bad luck struck again. Carrie passed away from cancer in 2002 at just 38. Carol was heartbroken but persisted to keep her daughter's memory alive. Carol also waged public battles, such as her 1970s lawsuit against the National Enquirer, which falsely accused her of inebriated behavior. She won, establishing a precedent against irresponsible tabloids. She also battled personal ones later in life, intervening to gain custody of her grandson Dylan when her daughter Erin had a substance abuse problem. Even in her late 80s, Carol was still the glue for her family. And she never retired. She won an